Let's give you some time to read through the question first. Okay, in this question, basically, you have Jack who collected some stamp as a hobby. Initially, 40% of his stamps are Malaysia stamp and the rest are Singapore stamp. So after collecting another 60 Malaysia stamp, 64% of his stamp are Malaysia stamp. So how many stamp does Jack have now? Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show two methods of solving the same problem. So depending on how comfortable your child is using the model method or using the ratio method. I will start off with the model method, which I believe they will learn first. Okay, so assuming I have this red box that represents Singapore and the blue one that represents Malaysia. So it started with 40% of his stamps are Malaysia stamps and the rest are Singapore. So if you go by unit, which means that 4 units are Malaysian and 6 units are Singapore stamp. Okay. Then next, he collected another 60 stamp, which is represented by this long box. Um, and with that, 64% of his stamps are Malaysia stamp. So now with the additional of these 60 stamp, the total of the Malaysia stamp becomes 64. And Singapore stamp will become 36%. Okay, so remember the number of Singapore stamp doesn't change. So which means that for 6 units will now be equal to 36%. Okay, and each unit will means that is equal to 6%. So each unit here will represent 6%. So similarly for Malaysia, there are 4 units. So Malaysia 4 units. So since we know each unit 6%, 4 times 6 it will give you 24%, which means that you have 24% of Malaysian stamp in this area. Okay, initially that he has. So if he has 24% here, and now that the Malaysia stamp contributes 64%, so this will means that the 60 Malaysian stamps that he has added in contributed 60 minus 24, 40%. So here actually contributed 40%. So if we know that here contributed 40%, straight away we know that 40% will be equal to 60 stamps. So which means that if it's 100% will be 60 divided by 40 times 100. And the answer will be he's having now 150 stamps. Okay, I will go on to solving the same problem but using the ratio method. So same thing, we have the same question. So by using ratio method, we basically use the before and after. Okay, so Singapore and Malaysia initially is 40% and Singapore are 60%. So 6 is to 4. And after which Singapore is 36% and Malaysia is 64%. Okay, so for this type of question, since we know that the Singapore stamps doesn't change, we will make these two number to be the same. Okay, so the Singapore, so one is now 6, the other is 36. So what I did was I take 6 multiplied by 6 will give you 36. 4 multiplied by 6 will give you 24. Okay, so same thing now you see the after effect is that 64 is Malaysia, then 24 is Malaysia here. So the change is actually 40%. 64 minus 24 is 40%, which is contributed by this additional 60 Malaysia stamp. So for the same thing, because we want to find what is the number now, which is usually means is after, then you take 100%. So you know 40% is equal to 60 stamp, 100% must be equal to 60 divided by 40 times 100, which is give you 150 stamps. So there's no right or wrong depending on which method that you use, unless the question states that you must use ratio. It all depends on your child, which one they're comfortable with. Thank you very much. Hope it helps. Thanks.